What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TYTSports. Dave Koller in the middle, the legend Dave Koller, still the most popular video on TYTSports history, belongs to Dave Koller.
Proud to have that distinction.
Yeah, 7 million views and counting. Francis Maxwell in the end. We're here to have a conversation that started in the office space, in the studio space, started in the kitchen, about how Dave believes, and let me know if I'm stepping on toes here, the greatest of all time argument is a terrible argument, or is a dumb argument.
Well, what I'm here to do is, it's one of the most fun arguments that any sports fan has, and I just want to pour cold water all over it.
Just all over. And what is...
Because it's... But everyone knows it. It's dumb, because what are the criteria? It's a way for us to have fun talking about sports, but how do you... We all know it. You can't define greatest of all time. There are too many criteria for it. So then people debate, and they get really into it. No, Magic Johnson's definitely the greatest of all time because he played all 5 positions in one game in the playoffs. But no, Michael Jordan this, and LeBron James. And it always goes back to how many championships you won, and that is the dumbest thing. So we're going to get into all the components. But yes, my thesis is not... I'm not here to debate whether Tom Brady is the greatest of all time or whether Roger Federer is.
Just
but the whole argument is dumb. It's a great time to be having this discussion because of Tom Brady.
Well, because
Roger
someone
Federer.
just became the undisputed greatest of all time.
That's what everybody talked about after Sunday Super Bowl. All right, now it's official. He's the greatest of all time. So 1 game ago he wasn't. Now Brady was awesome, yeah. But you know, here's flaw number 1. In a team sport, it's not one person who wins.
Exactly.
That's very true. Francis?
So I agree with a lot of what Dave's saying. I mean, I've participated in this conversation quite a lot. I tweeted it out, like playing into this argument after Tom Brady won it. I says, in sports, people love to debate for the sake of debating. Like it's part of the reason we love it. It's what fans do. But I think there's certain individuals that are beyond debate. So I kind of do disagree with what you're saying, and I do think there's certain athletes that kind of set themselves apart. But the funny thing is I don't base them setting apart based on accolades, because I put Lionel Messi in that category and he hasn't won a World Cup, which everyone will hold over his head until the very last breath he takes if he doesn't do it. And everyone's like, oh, well, Maradona won it. Well, show me how many Champions League Maradona won. Show me how Maradona reshaped the way football was played for Barcelona. Like, I don't take that one single accolade as a means to justify how overwhelmingly brilliant someone was that they can be considered at this moment the greatest, because someone will come around and be the greatest. That's why I think it's kind of silly that the greatest of all time is considered something that just simply means, as Dave puts it, they won this amount and they did this. That's it. Like the Michael Jordan argument is the one that kind of encompasses that the most, because he's won more championships than LeBron James. Then that means that he's not going to be touchable. Even if LeBron James passes him, there will be still people that'll be like, it doesn't count.
Hold on, so why can't tennis have a greatest of all time? It's one player, it's not a team sport. Isn't Federer up there amongst?
All right, so let's go to tennis, because that's a good question. So as a side note, before the big match, Federer and Nadal, a week and a half ago, or I think it was Brad Gilbert, one of the commentators, put up his list of greatest of all time tennis players. Number 1, he wrote, whoever wins this match. Number 2, whoever loses this match. And then he had 3,
really
4.
Funny.
It's funny. It's also dumb. All right, so Federer has a 20-year career or whatever, and 17 championships at the majors, and this one's going to determine whether he's greater than Nadal or Nadal's greater than he is. Stupid. But he was doing it for fun, I hope. Why can't you determine it's the same thing it has in many other sports. First, you got to look at his opponents. Federer, in many of his first dozen or so major championships, played some pretty weak opponents in the finals. Whereas Nadal and Djokovic, I've been playing Nadal and Djokovic and Federer and Andy Murray and these other great players. Federer had it easy for a couple of years. And as soon as it became hard, and Nadal and Djokovic,
was exploited, okay.
He started to win fewer, and he hadn't won one since 2012. The other thing is comparing eras. Now, Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, you can compare. They're all in the same era. But you go back to those old geezers from the 1960s who won a whole bunch of championships. And some people say, no, I think Don Budge is the greatest tennis player of all time. I think he played in the 20s and 30s. And then other people say, that is ridiculous. You can't compare an athlete from the 20s and 30s who looked like you to Rafael Nadal.
Well, did anybody see? Did you see the picture that was trending? It's the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback during Super Bowl I. He was having a beer and smoking a cigarette during halftime.
It sounds like
it.
Joe
That's
Namath
the
for
greatest
Super
of
Bowl
all
3.
time.
Yeah. But and he makes a good point.
It's the greatest photo of all time.
It's a good point, and it kind of goes along with why I claim, and you'll like often, you have argued back at this point because Andy Murray doesn't have as many championships. When I said that Andy Murray should be considered one of the greatest like British sports persons, and I believe we had the clip as to who was the best sports person
Is
of the
he
year.
a sir yet?
Yeah, and I said Andy Murray, and you said, well, he didn't win like this amount of championships like Serena Williams. But again, who's Serena Williams' competition in comparison to?
I think Serena
Andy?
would smash Andy
No,
Murray.
I think Serena
No,
Williams is a
okay.
fantastic athlete.
I
I'm no
know,
doubt.
I know.
But the reason I make not just because Andy Murray's Scottish, but the fact is he literally needs to compete against
The
two to
best.
three of who are considered to be the greatest of all time.
3
right?
of the 4 are
3 to
considered
4.
the
And
greatest.
the reason why I hold him in such regard, aside from that, the national bias, is because I don't know if Dave, you remember how much British people wanted a Wimbledon champion.
Yeah,
and they
Tim
used to scream
Henman.
for Tim Henman for years, and he was rarely even close, like quarterfinals. He'd be like, next year, Tim. No, he was shit, and he was never going to
Right.
get there. But they just based on that, and then Andy Murray, as we're talking about pressure and someone who's able to reach that potential, he reached it, and I think that it was even more important and puts him not in the tennis category, but in the greatest British sports.
Well,
persons,
there's no question
not because of
about
his trophies.
that. We're not talking about it anymore, but another thing about him, he had so many struggles and then injuries and mental problems and physical problems. He could have quit and without ever winning a championship. But he was strong enough to persist in his
come
career
back.
and come back and get
So I think when it comes to the greatest of all time argument, for one, as you've talked about already, in sports, I think it's become a cornerstone because, for one, most, and I hate this, but a lot of mainstream outlets, I don't remember GOAT being used as much growing up as I do over the
agreed.
last 5 years. ESPN, is this the GOAT? Is Russell Westbrook having the GOAT season of all time? Yeah. And then it comes down, is that the greatest game of the season? And I think part of that is I like to, and I think a lot of people in my age group like to rank things. It becomes the subject for quantifying and, in a way, qualifying those before us and putting them in a certain regard, right? So in basketball, we talk about Michael Jordan, right? And we now look at LeBron James and what he would have to do to surpass Michael Jordan as the greatest. And the number one thing everybody goes to is championships.
Right, which
But
so
I
dumb.
understand it's a team sport. However, when we talk about Tom Brady, and the reason a lot of people said this year what Aaron Rodgers did, right, over those 9 games, 10-game winning streak, is he could solidify himself if he takes his bad Packers team all the way to the Super Bowl and wins the Super Bowl, right? But what happened in the NFC Championship game? He was down by a lot of points to the Atlanta Falcons. And what happened in the Super Bowl? Tom Brady was down by a lot of points, and he made that comeback by making those throws and making those decisions. And he had a couple of things have to go right for the greatest of all time, right? Something has to be lucky. Edelman has to make a catch.
The ball needs
Michael
to be
Jordan
right
needs to
flavor.
pass it to Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr needs to hit that shot, right? Roger Federer needs a ball to break ever so slightly a little bit more left than it did right or something. I don't watch tennis.
Yeah, that are right.
So it's like ping pong when it goes
get-
off the edge.
I get your point. Again, it's just people will everyone loves to quantify things. Like as we mentioned, there's literally a website that's called Messi versus Ronaldo.com, and it's like
a great
minutes.
website.
Yeah, I mean we get a lot of our stats. From
I'm creating
but,
McEnroe-versus-Federer.com. Just saying.
Like this is what my point is. Like if Messi was to go forward and win 6 Copa Americas, I don't think that compares to Cristiano Ronaldo's 1 Euro.
Euros.
Because it's competition, it's the team that's around you, it's how you're able to adjust that team. And people will be like, oh, Ronaldo never played in the final. But what about the things that he did to lead up to that? And the same thing can be said about Michael Jordan has more championships than LeBron James. But what about that recent championship where LeBron James vowed to go back to his hometown and to
win.
deliver them a
Some
championship?
championships are worth more than others.
Some of them definitely outweigh the
so
others.
some are worth.
And I think and if you're going to qualify it, some maybe count as 2.
Some rings are heavier.
If LeBron James won that first championship when he was at the Cavs with that diabolical team, I think he cements himself right there. Like if he wins that because of the way
But
he
so
was able
one of the
to.
things is what else do we have to talk? So here's the thing, and this is where
There- I
Dave is
do
going
have more.
to say sports are completely unimportant. But what else do we have to talk about? If it's just like, Lionel Messi's great, Is that the end of the conversation?
You're right, and that's why it happened.
How
But
great is he?
Right, but here's the thing. So I agree with your observation that this term GOAT and greatest of all time wasn't used so much many years ago.
Right,
It just popped up in fast.
The headlines were just like, look at what Michael did.
So here's my deeper explanation of that. It's not just millennials like to rank things, which is true. I think sports in America, and in soccer even more, baseball, football, basketball, soccer, they've been around for many, many decades now. It's starting to get tiring, I think, to audiences, and audiences are leaving the major sports. And I remember this from the World Series a few years ago when the Giants were in it, and Madison Bumgarner had a fantastic World Series. And they said, oh, this is the greatest World Series performance of all time. And I said, oh, it's tiring. Every year there's the greatest this and the greatest that. I think what's happening is sports fans kind of psychologically, they need to justify validation that, oh, wait, what I'm watching, forget all that crap from the past. What I'm watching is really important. This is the greatest thing because Federer is the greatest, and Brady's the greatest, and Jordan's the greatest, and LeBron's the greatest, and Madison Bumgarner is the greatest. So it self-validates the fact that they're watching sports for hours and hours.
It gives you more of something to watch.
Right, because there's been so much with Sandy Koufax, and it was a great, and Bob Gibson, and Babe Ruth, and Whitey Ford, baseball history. And soccer history, you go back 100 years or more.
Baseball historian, Dave.
How are you supposed to put in perspective what you're watching in your short little lifetime?
Yeah.
So you do the greatest
We
of
even
all
do it.
time.
You know what's even crazier than that is I see on a lot of websites, a lot of sports-related websites that cross over into pop culture. Is this the greatest season of Game of Thrones of all time? Is that the greatest episode of TV of all time? And they do. What is the best Breaking Bad?
Is La La
Deadspin
Land
just
the best,
is
the
La La
greatest
Land the
musical?
best musical of all time?
Mm-hmm.
It's and we just talked. We literally just did a clip 2 minutes ago where it was a game regular season and one
Was it the
reporter,
best game of the
one
regular
reporter's
season?
now on a headline because he said it was the best regular season game he's ever watched between the Cavs and the Wizards. And that and
the Cavs and the
We're
Wizards.
getting so narrowed down that soon we're going to be like, was it the greatest 2-minute stretch of a basketball
That's
game
happened.
of all time?
Yeah.
Is Klay Thompson's best consistent shot the best amount of consistent?
Oh, he's
shots
60
we've seen?
points in 29 minutes.
And
Is
I
that
get
the
it.
best?
And it's a lot easier to make these arguments when the stats back it up. That's why everyone looks to go to the stats. But as I mentioned, I think this argument is completely subjective. There is no right answer. There is no way that you can justify to me that Ronaldo's better than Messi, because in my head, I don't think that you can justify that Messi's not better than Ronaldo. So it's a completely... It's an argument that has so many fallacies that if you tried to base it off of anything. Because it's completely about
with
what
one
you feel.
exception. So, Chris, I don't want people to stop having this debate because it's fun, but I did want to pour cold water on it. The one exception might be baseball, which is a super stat-heavy sport.
all
And
stats.
Babe Ruth, last time I checked, which was 15 years ago, I don't know if any players now, like Pujols or Bonds,
Not a chance.
he was so far ahead of his contemporaries, and for decades after ahead of his contemporaries.
Well, it's because the
that
pitching.
obvious.
It's the pitching and the hitting.
But they had the same pitching and hitting for all those
But
jokers.
I'm saying he pitched very, very well.
I know,
At an elite
early in
level,
his career.
and he hit at an elite level.
Right,
And there's
so-
nobody in their right mind who would even try that.
No, he doesn't get a lot of
But
credit
the
for the pitching,
competition
although he
was.
should.
I mean, again, we're talking about somebody who look, I can't disrespect Babe Ruth like this, but if you put Babe Ruth in 2017 baseball, he probably wouldn't be that good.
No, of course not.
If you drank and ate hot dogs and smoked in the dugout, you can't do that
That's
and
the
be a
same
great
sort of argument.
baseball player anymore.
Same sort of argument about like Maradona. You can't have a guy who's all coked out running around the field right now. He's probably never going to be able to get on there. But
Maybe not for 90 minutes, but if there's extra time.
But Dave, this is where I wanted to go back and kind of rebuttal your claim about, because all your points you make really stay true to team sports. But then, aside from the
Golf?
competition argument, like, should you not be able to quantify a sport where you're directly competing with just you and another person as to, all right, well, this guy's the best. Like, yeah, you can make the argument. You can only really play who's in front of you. So you're not in control of who your competitors are going to be. So is it not easier to make this greatest of all time argument mean a little bit more something when it's just single sports like golf? Like, in my opinion, Tiger Woods is going to be the best of all time, and people would argue with him and Jack Nicklaus. And again, when you think about that argument, you never hear two people, maybe it's because golf's not that popular, but you never hear two guys in a bar, don't you dare say Jack Nicklaus isn't as good as Tiger.
It depends. It depends what bar you're in.
If I'm in
If you're back home, in Scotland, if you're back home in Scotland,
we don't get it. We created it, but we don't care that much about it because we're not that good at it.
is that why you made bunkers that are 30 feet deep?
Yeah, because
at
no
the
one,
molten
those
core
guys
of
that have
the
never
earth?
left St Andrews bunkers. They're still in there. They just set up. They just set up shop.
I would. If I saw that, I would just be like, I'm going to drop a ball outside the bunker.
I've saw guys chip back the way.
I could be wrong about this. I don't know a lot about golf, but golf probably is the sport where you probably can most deter.
Because you are playing you're only playing against yourself, technically.
And yeah, Tiger Woods and the modern era players have much better athletic bodies than the old guys, but that just allows them to drive it farther, and the courses are longer, so that doesn't really matter. When you come to putting, you can compare Nicklaus to Tiger Woods if you want. Yeah, Tiger Woods has slightly better technology and probably better training techniques, but it's comparable.
I feel like our conclusion here is you're allowed to have the greatest of all time argument because it's fun, but the only one that's valid is golf.
That could be it.
And if you do have that argument, remember, it's really dumb and you're just trying to validate your own sports watching and justify why you're spending so much time.
It's funny because you're I would consider you a sports fan.
Right.
You like
not
sport.
The biggest. But
You're
I'm a
not
sports fan.
like Hassan will sit there and say that they're like sports are so stupid that like I don't understand how you could ever watch them, right?
Right, because you could be going.
But you're in the camp of sports fan. You can go chase girls. This is true. All right, comment below. I don't know, what do we title it? Is the GOAT argument a dumb argument?
Is the GOAT argument stupid? I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that will suddenly hit us with all these facts that they use to justify
I'm
themselves.
looking forward to reading the comments.
Yeah.
That Dave is a comment. He will be commenting back possibly if you say anything. So.
Greatest sports argument clip of the greatest of all time.
Is this the greatest argument of all time?
Is this the greatest argument of all time about the greatest of all time?
Is it the greatest David Koller sports clip of all time?
Well, you've got to...
Well, what are we basing it on? Statistics, likes, comments?
Quality.
Quality?
Thumbnail?
Thumbnail?
If we put a certain thumbnail, there's going to be a great thumbnail.
I'm going to put Mia Khalifa on the thumbnail.
Put Serena Williams.
I love Serena Williams. She's that's like one of the 5 people I would love to interview out of anybody on this earth.
Make it happen.
We didn't even talk. I'm sorry, we finished the clip, but
it's still going.
I want to talk about Serena Williams for a second. People who are real people point out that.
What are we?
Right, we're in the real people category.
Oh, okay.
That Steffi Graf won 22 Grand Slams before the age of 30 and then retired. So of course she's greater than Serena, who played an extra 6 years and finally won one more. But the TV commentators flip that around and they say Serena Williams is awesome because after the age of 30, look how many championships she won. That makes her the greatest. And I thought that was an interesting flip of the argument.
Probably would have won more if she played past 30. Like she maybe could have gotten 30,
But all tennis
40.
players would, but they can't. They can't play past 30. Now Steffi Graf retired. She didn't get injured. So it's all confusing, like this argument always is.
That's what's funny is I don't remember Steffi Graf too much. I remember Serena Williams and her rise to be
well, because she's American and Steffi Graf's German, and you're not going to.
And as a Jew,
point, valid point. But yeah, and
pro Serena.
The other point to bring it back really quick, just on you mentioning Serena, is a lot of the time it's not just the greatness in the accolades, but it's sometimes what they do for the sport. Like if they attract it to a new audience or they do something different. Like Serena Williams' power is unquestionable. There's no one.
Is it the greatest power?
She has probably got the most power, and that's why people will put Tiger in a realm of his own, because look how much he changed the sport, both culturally, everything that he did to make athleticism more prominent in golf.
They discontinue Nike Golf.
I know,
and the number one selling golf shirt is the red polo shirt.
Do you know anyone who has, like, how embarrassed would you be to buy that shirt? You do? Oh, sorry. But you don't play golf, do you? Or do you?
I've got plenty of golf.
I play like 5 times.
And you would put the Tiger Woods shirt on?
I put it on only when I play my dad. It's an intimidation
All right,
tactic.
that's fine. It's in the family.
Red means danger.
Red means danger. No, actually, I have one, and I only wear it actually when I play my dad, because it's also really small because I've had it since I was like in 8th grade.
So at least in tennis, they change their shirts every tournament.
Well, you have to wear white.
You have to wear white Wimbledon.
Does anybody know this? Why white is the go-to color for tennis?
It was a country club sort of thing, right? It's like that was their rules.
Yes, I'm old.
See, so like I'm telling you, someone's got to come on and just and like lime green, just change the sport.
No, they do in all the other tournaments.
That's what they do.
I really don't watch tournaments.
And that's why you get, and even golf, like you can see more people now. Like there was a guy who was playing at golf recently in a tournament and had on an Arizona State polo shirt, like a football shirt. That was made into a polo shirt, like in American football, because he went to Arizona State. So
interesting.
And then like you get Ricky Fowler, who wears like bright orange, and it's because
I'm all about John Daly.
Yeah, I'm about evolving. Yeah, John Daly wearing SpongeBob pants.
Well, since we're venting, I've never been able to stand Phil Mickelson wearing that stupid KPM.
Yeah,
what a dude. I don't have anything against the guy. I don't know if this is going to make
Phil's
you
never
two.
going to change. He's got the cut and dry golf persona down. Like,
Yeah,
he's not
he's
going to
a-
change his outfit. But anyway.
It's an
He's a
accounting
douche.
firm.
That's an accountant firm.
Well, this is the same guy that tried to play for stocks in the middle of a skins game.
It's true.
Remember that?
He did
He's like,
play for stocks.
Some poor intimidated little guy was like, "Oh, we're going to play like $100 round. How many stocks you got?"
He's like, I got
Put 'em up for
80
grabs.
in PMG. Is Dave Koller the greatest sports commentator on TYTSports of all time?
I'm sorry,
Comment below.
Phil. You're a fine fellow.
This is all staying. Comment below, like, favorite, and subscribe. Dave's at David Koller, right?
At Dave Koller.
At Dave
Dave
Koller.
Koller.
He's over 10K, correct?
Yeah.
We pushed him. Let's get him to 20K. He should be the most followed person. He talks about the real important stuff.